Good morning and welcome back to BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information. Today's episode is once again What the Papers Say, and we're joined by Ian Matheson for this week's news. So Ian, thank you so much for joining us this morning. What have you got for today's episode?
Oh, wow, Brooke. Obviously last week disappeared faster than MSC could deny rumours it was planning to buy a stake in Hapag-Lloyd.
Yes, of course, but like we always say, there's no smoke without fire, is there?
Yeah, that's right, Brooke. Yeah, anyway, let's start with something that has happened, shall we? The signing of a US-Iran Memorandum of Understanding has eased concerns around potential disruption in the Strait of Hormuz. The agreement has been welcomed by the shipping industry, but a return to normal operations in the region is expected to take quite a long time. As of last Monday, shipping in the Strait of Hormuz had plunged following Iran's announcement that it had closed the waterway once again over Israel's strikes on Lebanon, according to ship tracking data. So we better wait and see what happens in the next few days.
Of course, yeah, it'll be one to watch. And as a result of that, what's been happening to the rates?
The Drewry Composite World Container Index continued its upward climb last week. It rose 12% and has reached its highest level in 18 months. Drewry said that strong demand, cargo front-loading and the ongoing carrier surcharges are keeping pressure on rates across both the Trans-Pacific and in the Asia-Europe trades. And further increases are expected in the coming weeks.
And I hear that there's also the continuing congestion problem as well, isn't there?
Yes, there have, yeah. Congestion continues to build at several major ports around the world, and equipment shortages also linger. This sort of suggests the industry is still operating under anything but normal conditions, and congestion remains elevated across a number of major global hubs, some in China, Singapore, Port Klang, Colombo, and several key European gateways are continuing to experience significant vessel queues. And meanwhile, in Africa, ports that include Abidjan, Tema, and Cape Town remain under pressure, and that's all adding to the growing list of locations where carriers are facing delays.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I know kind of the discussion around that about whether the peak season actually still exists, it's certainly starting, isn't it?
That's correct, Brooke, yeah. With supply chains constantly reacting to one disruption or another, the line between the peak and off-peak seems more blurred than ever. Anyway, shall we end this week's episode with some air cargo news?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So last week, the Department for Transport published a proposed draft revision to the airport's national policy statement, known as the Heathrow Expansion National Policy Statement. And that's the framework within which the planning decision on expansion at the airport is being made. The document stressed that expansion at Heathrow will provide more cargo handling capacity to enable growth of air freight volumes. And elsewhere in the air cargo sector, booming volumes of semiconductors combined with the Middle East crisis have pushed aircraft cargo utilisation levels on the Trans-Pacific trade to their maximum, according to data provider Zenita. Zenita's figures show that the dynamic load factor, taking into account space and weight on services from Asia Pacific to North America, currently stands at 90%.
Right.
And while those high utilisation levels are in part driven by the Middle East crisis, the growth of semiconductor-related demand has been a major factor in driving that growth.
Now, there's certainly a lot for our members to take away from this episode, so thank you so much, Ian, for joining us with these insights.
No problem, Brooke.
The links to all of the articles and the reports that we've discussed in today's episode will be in the description, as always. That's all for today's edition of BIFA TV, your daily dose of industry information.